The crystalline palace of Velanthes Prime was the jewel of the Velari Empire, a civilization that had dominated this region of space for 3,000 years. The Velari were elegant beings with luminescent skin patterns shifting with emotions, their culture built around concepts of destiny and cosmic order. Central to their beliefs was the soulmark, a biological phenomenon unique to their species, where compatible individuals bore matching marks that remained invisible until physical contact with one's destined partner caused both marks to illuminate. The marks appeared at maturity and were considered sacred evidence of cosmic design. Princess Kaelara Velthani, youngest daughter of the Velari Empress, had carried the weight of her hidden soulmark for 5 years with growing anxiety. Velari soulmarks appeared on various body parts, and Kaelara's was on her inner wrist, a placement associated with bonds involving both heart and action. In Velari culture, discovering one's soulmate led to immediate betrothal regardless of social standing. The marks were absolute. They didn't lie, didn't err, and according to millennia of history, only activated between Velari individuals. But Kaelara's mark remained dark through 5 years of formal introductions to every eligible Velari noble, through hundreds of handshakes and greeting, through carefully arranged encounters. Nothing. The longer it remained inactive, the more anxiety built. The Velari Empire had recently established relations with the Terran coalition, and as part of cultural exchange, a small contingent of human security specialists was assigned to assist with palace protection during the upcoming Celestial Festival. Among them was Sergeant David Chen, a coalition security specialist with 8 years of military experience. Professional, competent, and utterly out of his depth in Velari court protocols. The day before the festival, David was assigned to escort Princess Kaelara through a security sweep of ceremonial chambers. It was considered a safe assignment. The princess was gracious with foreign diplomats, and the task was straightforward. Kaelara greeted him with practiced diplomatic courtesy, extending her hand in the human gesture she'd learned. Their hands met. Kaelara's soulmark, hidden beneath her formal gown's sleeve, erupted into brilliant light. The sensation was overwhelming. Electricity, warmth, recognition all at once. Every nerve confirmed what the glowing mark declared. This was her soulmate. This human. This impossible, completely wrong, shouldn't be possible human. Kaelara froze completely, her luminescent skin flashing through colors broadcasting shock, confusion, and something between terror and wonder. David, unaware of what was happening, saw only the princess gone rigid, her skin doing things indicating extreme distress. "Your Highness, are you all right?" His voice broke through her paralysis. Kaelara jerked her hand back, hiding the still glowing mark. "I'm fine, just dizziness. The preparations have been exhausting." The security inspection proceeded with Kaelara in barely controlled panic. Her soulmark had glowed for a human. This shouldn't be possible. Soulmarks only activated between Velari individuals. It was biological law. But the mark didn't lie. She could still feel the residual warmth on her wrist, and something else, an awareness of David's presence that shouldn't exist, a pull toward him that Velari literature described as bond sense. When the inspection concluded, Kaelara retreated to her chambers and examined her wrist. The design was intricate, 2 intertwined spirals forming a pattern associated with bonds that bridge different worlds. She'd assumed it meant someone from a different clan. She never imagined it could mean a different species. By morning, she'd made a choice. She needed to confirm whether David experienced anything unusual, whether humans could somehow bear soul marks. Kaelara arranged another meeting under pretense of security briefings. When their hands brushed while reviewing tactical displays, her mark flared again, brilliant, undeniable. This time she watched David carefully. She saw his sharp intake of breath, the way his hand jerked, confusion crossing his face as he looked at his wrist. "Did you feel that?" Kaelara asked. "Feel what?" David rubbed his wrist, troubled. "That felt like an electric shock but not painful, just intense. Kaelara made a decision. Sergeant Chen, I need to ask you something. Do you have any unusual marks on your body, particularly on your wrist? David's expression shifted to wariness. That's a fairly personal question, Your Highness. I know, but please, it's important. Something in her urgency made David reconsider. Slowly, he pulled back his sleeve. His left wrist was unmarked, normal human skin. But as they watched, something impossible happened. Faint lines began appearing, glowing softly, forming a pattern that exactly mirrored the mark on Kaelara's wrist. David stared in shock. What the hell? I don't have tattoos. I've never had markings. What's happening? Kaelara could barely breathe. Sergeant Chen, David, I need to explain something about Velari biology that will sound impossible. Over the next hour in the privacy of her chambers, Kaelara explained soulmarks, their history, their meaning, their absolute significance in Velari culture. David listened with focused attention. And you're telling me that mark on my wrist means we're destined soulmates according to Velari cosmic law? Yes, but I'm human. You're Velari, we're different species. I know. 3,000 years of Velari history says this can't happen. But here we are, with matching marks that activated when we touched. The marks don't lie, David. David processed tactically. What are the political implications? What does this mean for both of us? In Velari culture, soulmark activation traditionally leads to immediate bonding. But a princess and a human guard, this is unprecedented. It will cause significant complications. Understatement. I'm not saying I don't feel something. That connection you described, I feel it. But this is going to cause both of us serious problems. I know, the question is, what do we do about it? David said something that revealed why his mark recognized him. We need more information before major decisions. We need to understand what this bond actually means, whether there are biological or psychological components. And we need to figure out if there are precedents. Thus began a secret investigation. Kaelara delving into Velari archives, David consulting human xenobiological literature. Over weeks, they discovered startling information. Deep in classified archives, Kaelara found references to aberrant mark activations, cases where marks activated in unexpected ways, including mentions of marks recognizing void-born individuals. These cases were systematically suppressed. David, working with human xenobiologists, discovered Velari and human neurology had unexpected similarities in pair-bonding regions. The theory emerged that soulmarks might be sophisticated biological recognition systems, identifying compatible partners based on markers that could exist across species. Armed with this information, they faced a choice: continue hiding or reveal the truth. The decision was taken from them during the Celestial Festival when an assassination attempt targeted Kaelara. In the chaos, David's response was instantaneous. He put himself between the princess and danger with certainty transcending duty, and Kaelara's fear for him revealed the bond's depth. In the aftermath, as Kaelara was checked for injuries, the Empress noticed. The princess's torn sleeve revealed her glowing soulmark, and across the room, bleeding from protecting her daughter, David Chen's matching mark was visible. The Empress's expression shifted through shock to grim acceptance. We need to talk about why your mark bonded to a human guard and how long you've been hiding it. The revelation transformed everything. The court erupted in scandal, religious authorities declaring the marks heretical, conservatives demanding David's expulsion, progressives seeing opportunity to challenge traditional beliefs. Through it all, Kaelara and David stood together, their bond undeniable. The Empress eventually made a pragmatic decision. The marks have activated. In 3,000 years, marks have never been wrong about compatibility. If we declare these marks false, we question the validity of all soul marks. So we accept a new truth, that soul marks can recognize compatibility across species boundaries. It was revolutionary, but it was acceptance of what Kaelara and David had known, that some bonds transcend expectation, species, or tradition. 1 year later, Kaelara and David had formally bonded in a ceremony combining Velari and human traditions. Theirs wasn't the only cross-species mark activation anymore. Once the possibility became known, others reported marks activating with human partners. What was thought impossible destiny became foundation for deeper integration between species. The Valari concept of cosmic design hadn't been destroyed, it expanded. In her chambers, Kaelara traced the mark on David's wrist, now permanently visible. Do you ever regret it? That your mark chose a Velari princess instead of a nice human partner who wouldn't have caused a diplomatic crisis. David pulled her close. Every mark activation causes drama. Ours was just more dramatic than most. But no, I don't regret it. You're the person the mark recognized, and the mark was right. The mark is always right, Kaelara agreed. Even when it's inconvenient, impossible, and redefines everything we thought we knew about destiny. Especially then, David added, and their marks glowed softly in harmony, evidence that sometimes the universe has plans transcending every boundary we